It was my first year in the classroom, somewhere in the middle of the longest day of my life, when I finally felt like a real teacher. That is, until it all fell apart. But let's rewind a bit. I joined Teach for America in 2010 at the ripe old age of 32, a good 10 years older than my fellow corps members, fresh out of college and ready to be true agents of change. Yet despite our age differences, we embraced our charge with equal zeal. So faster than you could say white savior complex, I found myself as a self-contained 5th grade teacher at Leap Academy University Charter School in Camden, New Jersey, and I had no idea what I was doing. Nevertheless, I was placed in charge of the educational achievement of 23 or so 11 and 12-year-olds who had figured out on day one that I had no idea how to teach, let alone manage a classroom. So they were left with two choices. They could put up with my lack of experience, or put me through the ringer, and it was the latter of the two which they chose. As a result of my lack of experience, this class of young, bright-eyed 5th graders were well primed to deliver a particularly potent brand of madness and mayhem. Some even viewed it as an art form. Unbeknownst to me, my complete and utter lack of classroom control had provided the perfect venue for their art form to blossom. I had no business being in the classroom. I knew it, and they did too. As a result, for 10 long months, my days consisted of a vicious cycle of rising in an ungodly hour, rushing to school to frantically plan 5 horrible lessons, trying not to throw up on my way to pick up the kids in the morning, delivering horrible lesson after horrible lesson, kids running around the room, slapping each other in the head, playing, fighting, me losing my shit, them not listening to a word I said, me trying not to throw up, and so on and so on, until dismissal finally arrived and the last kid left, where the full weight of my crushed spirit would set in, and I would float home, fully dazed and defeated, preparing myself mentally for the next day to arrive and do it all over again, and again, and again. It sounds really bad, and that's because it was. So there I was, in the middle of the worst day of my life, when the time for independent reading arrived. Yet after hours of utter failure, the class finally followed my directions. Settling down throughout the room, they were ready and willing for some good, quiet reading time. Not a sound in the room but the soft turning of worn-out pages in old books. I leaned against the whiteboard in the back of the room, soaking it all in. Arms folded, I focused on my breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, and let my mind wander through the calm of the moment. This is it, I thought to myself. This is what a 5th grade classroom feels like, and I made it happen. Swelling with pride, I envisioned days filled with smiling students, eagerly raising their hands to answer questions or participate in transformative classroom discussions, steeped in academic language and polite disagreement amongst peers. I imagined smiling parents and crying kiddos reaching for warm hugs as we said our goodbyes at the end of an amazing year. Flashing forward, 15, 20 years later, I saw myself at the grocery store or a gas station, running into a former student, eager to tell me how I was their favorite teacher. A flood of warm visions danced through my mind as I looked around the room, one by one, at my students, My students, reading quietly. At around 10 minutes into independent reading, a tall, lanky, intelligent boy named Corey looked up suddenly from his book. Standing behind him, I could see only the back of his head, and I assumed he was processing some powerful moment in the novel he was reading. Then it happened. In the flash of an eye, Corey looked left, then right, then straight ahead, and yelled out at the top of his lungs,
"Penis!"
"Oh my God." And for a brief second, time stood still as my mind desperately replayed the moment, just to check. In slow motion, I saw him look up, scan the room, left, right, forward. I saw his chest swelling up and jutting out. Then I heard it again in extreme slow motion. Yep, it happened. And just like that, I had lost them all.
Oh my God, Corey. He said penis. Penis.
Penis.
Penis.
He said penis.
Oh my God,
Penis.
Corey.
The calm of the moment had shattered, leaving behind only the tiniest fragments of my self-esteem. Of course, the rest of the day was utter chaos, a repeat of the normal desperate cycle I had grown so accustomed to. Several weeks passed before they followed a single direction again. But I held on to those 10 minutes in my heart for the rest of the year. Those 10 sweet, sweet minutes where I was actually, finally, a real teacher.